What's up, man?
Yo, dude. That song is just too good. The Rico classic. We've actually been talking about a new song. It's one of my favorite conversations with him.
Yeah, we might be having a new song in the works. Good stuff. That'll be probably ready in 2 years.
Maybe.
Maybe.
What's new, dude? It's been a week. It's been a week since we've seen each other.
It's been
How
a
you doing?
week. Good. Sorry, audience, for the last episode dropping late this week. We just had some guests in town that require a lot of energy.
We're still looking for a full-time volunteer tech. If anybody just hangs out, it's got some downtime, likes technology, name rhymes with Bazo, would be awesome. If anybody
Also,
out there.
We forgot to post our social media again.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a new CMO, and it just fell off the train too. So tell us like a little bit. So you said busy week. What the hell's happening? What do you mean? Why did it post it late? Was it work? Some visitors? What's going on?
Sorry. That's a good question, dude. Yeah, we had some guests coming from North Carolina. A good friend of mine named Eric Morris. He's been on the podcast. Check out season 1, episode 1. If it's still there.
So the first episode
he might have sued us for that one. I think we had to pull it down.
Damn.
He was visiting with his girlfriend and longtime fan of the Novo podcast, Anna.
I think she's watching today.
I don't know. I think they're on a plane at the moment. So she'll probably get this when it drops.
Okay.
They stayed for the week, and then we had a special guest drop in. VJL is
still here.
Still here. Might pop on later. But yeah, he's here for the weekend. I believe he leaves on Tuesday. So just a lot of, entertainment happening here.
And a lot of driving. You were off the whole week. I got the pleasure of working still. So just some tight weekend, all over the place. All over the place.
What's to do with you? Yeah, what you been up to?
Not much, actually. Just trying to go through some life stuff and figure out what I'm going to be doing in life, and trying to figure out work, and nothing's new. It's just the usual. But things are good, man. Things are good. It's opens here. CrossFit's been good. Shoulders jacked up. New coffee came in this week.
Are we drinking Padre coffee? We're no relation or association with them, but
yeah, just a new brand in Australia. So this is their cup. It says taste the malts,
which means
I have no idea.
How is it? What are you drinking? What kind of blend?
It's a little bit on the cooler side now. So this cup, in my first opinion, I'm not a big fan of these, but this is all they sold was that it's the metal ones.
They cool really fast, don't they?
Really quick, yeah. So like heats it up really quick, and then all of a sudden your coffee's cold. I do prefer the glass cups from everybody, but I figure, paid for this cup, might as well try it. But we're drinking a Padre. Matt tasked me up with finding some new Australian coffees. So Padre is the new one. Once we start to dig in, we got 4 different roasts to go into. We'll rate them. But yeah, like Matt said, zero association. I know we're big and like that's a big issue, but zero association.
Nice, dude. And so what beans do you got in there?
I don't remember this one. I think this one's still the Rumble coffee. Just finishing the last batch of Rumble.
Oh, okay.
We didn't start the new stuff yet. It's just waiting in their vacuum sealed tubes.
Same. Vince is doing a good job though, plowing through the Rumble.
I know.
About a quarter of a thing left.
So he'll be done by the time he leaves, because today we'll get coffee and then he'll probably drink 3 tomorrow while we're all working.
Yeah, his new thing is he likes to leave the portafilter full on the espresso machine, the thing that holds the coffee.
Ken does that too, yeah.
Yeah, you got to take it out and it's just full with hardened hot coffee grounds.
That's all right. He's, never knew it. That's what I was telling our friends yesterday about coffee. We were talking about percolators, and did we have this conversation? I feel like before about percolators, but so he had the espresso machine when I lived with him, didn't want to use it. Yeah. Didn't want to use it and would use his percolator. And now when he visits, he insists on using your machine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Espresso machines are intimidating. I think a lot of people hype them up to be. Well, at least the one we got is way less intimidating than I guess maybe your classical.
Yeah, I mean,
one.
I was thinking about that too. I don't even know if a classical one, if we would, like, know how to use it.
But like right before work, you would go downstairs, you make your coffee. Like literally, how long does it take you?
Maximum 5 minutes, and that's just like me waiting for things to heat up.
Yeah,
like the machine's like has a schedule, so that turns on its own, and then I brew my pot of water on the kettle to then make my long black, and then I drink it. But yeah, it's pretty quick.
You have hot water, I mean, it's like, I make a cup of coffee in 2 minutes.
You know, one thing that I actually like doesn't bother me. One thing that I wish I just had more opportunity was like the house itself, like having the machine, like hosting people and making people coffees. Like nobody ever, like when I lived with you, nobody ever came over for us. Like, do you want a cup of coffee? Let's make you a lot. Like we don't drink lattes that often, but other people love them. Or like even just in a whatever, like when Eric and his girlfriend were here. We're not saying names, so that's why everybody knows who Rico is. We're just trying to be more professional over here. Yeah. But we had dinner over here, and we were like trying some of the new Padre, and we made like different stuff, did some tastings, and it was just I wish I had that opportunity more often to like make people cups of coffees.
But we had a tasting once, you didn't show up, but it was good.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the ending it.
Yeah, because like where is it transition to?
Like if I know you, you'd want it to be like, all right, 30 minutes, we're doing this. All right, get out. I got stuff I want to do. Like I was thinking like, all right, well, that sounds like a cool idea. Like what if we did every Sunday at, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning, you had people over
and made coffees.
Yeah,
I could. I mean, that's a cool idea, but it's like you're saying, then all of a sudden,
how long does this event drag on?
How often? Who do you invite over? How does it work? Who don't you invite?
Yeah.
Well, I just wish it was more of an opportunity, but it will be one day. Yeah, it's gonna be one day. It will be. I have very full confidence that one day he'll just be hosters. It's in my blood. I like to host people, entertain. But to your point, sometimes it's like, all right, well, I got work in 12 hours, get out.
At one point, you wanted to create a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Where's that at on your radar?
I think we still, and when I say we, the guy, me and you, we would still do it. It's like we haven't experienced it yet. We haven't done that.
Yeah. I mean, I have one business and that's plenty for right now.
Yeah. So I think once you move on to the next venture, I think we would. Also, coffee's a tough one, especially around here. A lot of coffee shops that are pretty well established already. I don't know if I'd want to own a location.
Yeah.
Like pop-up coffees would be cool. Like, let's throw our machines in the car or in a trailer, a gas heater, turn that shit on, stay warm, giant tank of RO water, pull up, and we just serve fucking coffees.
I think that'd be cool.
One of us does like we just
constantly interrupted. I'm in the middle of a cast. What do you need?
This guy, it's a chat.
I'll call you in.
Obviously he's going to be a guest, I guess. So we'll just bring him in at some point. I think he wants to give us a rundown on like rate us, right? On like how well of like host we were, what the coffee's been like, some of the places we've taken him. But we'll do a business one day.
Don't forget this is a live show, so drop a comment on
We'll get you in here. Yeah, drop a comment and we'll get you in here to have a conversation about said topic. So if
you're looking at our old episodes, we had a lot more engagement from the audience.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just part of it. People are scared. Like one of our friends who watches it yesterday said that he was afraid. He doesn't like the fact that like if he watches it on Instagram, it says that he's watching it. Or no, right? He said he thought that YouTube did it. So if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, be like, yo, what up? You can make your username like an anonymous 101, and we'll just be like, yo, anonymous, what up? And like, you could text us on the side. But we'll let you in. We'd love to, have some conversation and go off the whim today.
So digging into the life stuff, you're doing some exploration here.
Yeah.
You've been doing some research.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about it.
Is this the interview day? We're doing another Luke interview?
Nah, but I mean, like, sound like you had some struggles there.
Yeah. With
Curious
what?
how you navigate it, just your life.
Yeah. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about that segment from Jay Shetty.
Yeah. Sorry, the dog just threw up. It's great.
Yeah, so did Coda.
Yeah.
This morning. Is there a toy in there?
No, this is just bile all over Ken's carpet, and now she's dressed. So, it's because they refuse to eat their food. It's like we literally feed them, and then Fran gets acid reflux, but she refuses to eat her food. Now Ken's ripping them. Anyway, sorry about that, chat. Life exploration. Where do you want to start? So, like, I just went in. So we kind of talked about this, right?
Just not on the air.
Not on the air. All right. So I don't know
the life raft.
All right. Well, help guide me here. Yeah, guide me here. So
you gave a really good example. Like,
yeah. So let's just with my diet. Okay. Yeah. So we got to start with the little life raft story, maybe.
Yeah.
So all of you are probably familiar. I'm not sure if I'm allowed. I'm allowed to share. He definitely would like this, but Jay Shetty. I don't listen to him too often, but I have a masterclass subscription, and he's got a podcast on there. So I've been really trying to dig in. I'm like, think about what causes the most anxiety for me or most people in general, and where do I need to grow as a person? Kenny's in the background right there. Kenny, everybody can see you. And change is one of those things. Like, how good do you, or how well are you at making changes in your life? Like, how do you think you approach it? How do you think you handle it? Do you think you do well?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, just in general. I'd like to know.
I think I'm trending. I think as I age, I think it's cool that we're different ages, by the way, because I feel like
it allows us to.
Well, it's cool for me because I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. I can see myself in you a lot of times, but I don't have a bigger brother that I could be like, oh, did you go through this shit? But anyway, so for me, it's like I definitely feel like in my youth, change was easy and often. Mm-hmm. As I get older, as you get these adult, I'm going to put them in quotes because I don't know a better word, even though I hate it, labeling things like that. But as you get more adult, or as you create these more, or as you accumulate these things, I think they make change a little harder. Mm-hmm. And I think they make you a little more, what's the word? I don't want to say sedentary. It's not what I'm looking for, but just like complacent. There you go.
Complacent. Yeah.
So like having a house, for example, that you own, it's like it kind of sticks you into a place for a little bit. It kind of makes things planning a little bit harder, right? Like, mm-hmm. If you got a really high house payment, like traveling all over the place and going to hotels is kind of like, a waste. There's a balance there. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about extremes here, but I think there's other things in life too, like having a family, which I don't have, but I'm sure like that makes change even harder. That's more financial responsibility. That makes things like, if we're talking about career change, probably a little bit harder. So I think that for me, the big thing with change is like, how can I still change and keep that practice going? Like maybe it doesn't have to be these big changes, but like, how can I keep implementing smaller changes to like, when it is time to make a big change, I'm a little more comfortable kind of thing.
Yeah. So
what about you?
Yeah. I mean, I would totally agree. And I think most people listening, again, our chat's pretty quiet, but I think most people would agree that like some of the stuff that makes them the most uncomfortable, like, is honestly some of the smallest things. Yeah. And this is as simple as like changing up your routine every single day. Like, that's uncomfortable enough of like, hey, I go to the gym every day at 4:30 p.m. I'm going to start going at 5:30 a.m. It's a whole different world. Like, that's a big change and people are uncomfortable there.
Just the reactions though. I've been hearing Luke talk about this out loud to other people in the gym and outside, and like just the reactions in general are, I think that speaks to that. Everyone's like, whoa, what? You're going at 5:30? Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I haven't even done it yet.
Like,
I've just
what's the
said it.
point?
Just saying it has made people like kind of panic for me, essentially. But I think it's just because change is so uncomfortable. So anyway, so I was exploring this masterclass thing, and these type of things have always like not. I don't want to use the word inspired me, but like have always like sparked my interest, like reading different books, like Crucial Conversations, or something as simple as The Alchemist, like learning to just have a different frame of mindset. I'm not saying I'm the best at practicing it. Again, it's more of just like self exploration, like learning these new things, and especially being in the coaching world, we've been like really talking a lot of how can we do X, Y, and Z to better our members, and it's like, well, this is something that I can do that will allow somebody to learn more, I guess. Like, right, there's only so much you can do with coaching people, but then here's a whole different aspect of it. So going into it, I guess I'll just tell what the masterclass, right? I think maybe that's to be the best spot. So I was listening to this masterclass, Jay Shetty. I'm sure you can find it somewhere that's not on masterclass, but he tells the story of a Buddha or Buddha, something like that, or just a man, like it's an ancient legend. And this man has all these struggles in life. And the simple analogy is he comes across a crazy rushing river, and he's got to cross this river somehow. And think about the river as a place of that's a challenge in your life. So the river is maybe a relationship starting, a relationship ending, a dog dying, a family member passing, a new job, moving in, moving out, getting laid off. Yeah, anything, a pay cut, a pay increase. Those are all changes that alter your life. If you want to think about it, right, because this is a lot heavy CrossFit one, think about it this way, like your coach's mood changes. You have new members in class. You're not the best athlete in the gym anymore. Things are changing. So going into it, we have this river and we have to cross the river. So we have to figure out how to navigate the change here. So the man, he builds a raft. He finds all these pieces of lumber or trees or bamboo, whatever. He builds a raft and he figures out how to get across the river. The boat saved him. Right? He's across this massive, rushing, crazy river. If he swam across it, he would drown and die. But he made it across this river. And he says to himself, I'm going to bring this life raft with me for the rest of my life. And starts walking, straps this life raft on his back, and he gets to this really dense wooded forest. The wooded forest is the newest challenge in his life. And he starts walking through this thing, but he's got the life raft on his back. And he keeps getting stuck on stuff over and over and over and over again. And every step he takes, he's got to take the life raft off his back, untangle it, put it back on his back, go. Takes a couple more steps, stuck again, and so on. And eventually he realizes, I need to let go of this raft for me to be able to get through this next challenge. Because if I continue to hold on to this raft, I'm never going to get through this. Ditches the raft, continues on through the forest. It's a much easier navigating the change or the challenge. Gets through it and goes on with his life. Boom, I'm sure more challenges came across. There's a couple things I took from the story. And for me, it resonated. It was like, okay, so this story for me is like, there's challenges. I learned how to make changes and navigate change. The life raft, I was able to build this raft to get across the river. Cool. Start going through the river. I'm walking, or not through the river, through the wooded forest, and I have this life raft on my back. And essentially, I learned that I know how to build a raft. I can let go of this thing and move the fuck on. I can continue, whether it's like a really good change. Maybe that challenge in your life was actually really good, or it was so terrible at that time, but it changed you to be for the better, and you figured out how to navigate. So the moral of the story for me was like, anything I do or let go, I can always rebuild if I want it again. So as simple as like, for me, one of those big things was like, hey, I had a gym. It wasn't this massive gym, but it was like really deep rooted. It was like close to my heart. It was close to everything that I loved, and everything was going well, besides like maybe like financials wasn't the greatest, but it was like, hey, this is great and it could be awesome. But I was like, all right, I need to leave this thing, and I had to navigate this change, and like I wouldn't look back. But you then related it to my diet here. So the analogy, anything there, anything that resonates with you, Coach, with the people, the gym, anything, or for like me, the biggest make thing it not boring.
For me, the biggest thing was This idea of just letting something go that at a time worked really well for you. I think that's the trap that a lot of people, myself included. Sorry, watch reading this chat. I don't understand. If I had to take a guess of your guys' name, ages, and jobs, the guy on the left is Phil Water Bottle. He is 39. He works at a department store. I don't know which left are for me. I work at a department store. But anyway, I think like a lot of times we just hold on to stuff just because it worked once. And I think that ends up blocking you from progressing. Kind of like the story, like this person, they were in trouble and they needed to get out of where they were. There was a giant river and he had to create something, figure it out. He figured it out, crossed the river. And then it was like, well, damn, like this saved my life. Like I'm never letting this go. Like I'm going to need it again at some point. What if there's another river up ahead? And, you know, he encounters the forest and then it's just like, well, this thing is actually holding you back. And, you know, that's kind of the thing I took away from it most. And I think you used a good analogy with your diet of like, hey, you know, not feeling great. I've done RP. I've cut macros. I've counted every little calorie. I've counted all my grams of protein. I counted all my fats. I've counted all my carbs. Yes, this got me to lose weight. It was super impactful, but it's not sustainable. I'm eating things that kind of freak me out. Like I'm eating these super low carb, alternative syrups, for example, of like, you know, just for taste, like, you know, you appreciate food. You worked in a restaurant for a ton of years. Like, you know, there's some respect to food and taste. But like, that's just a small example.
Yeah, when you like an example of that would be like you run far with like, hey, I love maple syrup, but it's got 32 grams of carbohydrates in 1 tablespoon. Or I got this log cabin sugar-free maple syrup that you can have a cup of it. And there's only 5 calories and it tastes like it. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
And then you look at the ingredients and you're like, I'm confused.
Yeah. And it's not maple syrup. And obviously, like going into it, you know it's not. But there's just like a list of like just chemicals in this thing to make it taste like it.
Yeah. So then it was like, you know, you tried to hold on to that diet. You know, I would even say that with cuts in general, like there's suffering that happens. It's not enjoyable. And, you know, I think you got to a point where like, do I really want to be doing this for the rest of my life, eating this way? And it was like on to the next thing. It's like, imagine if you held on to that diet. Imagine if you were still doing it today.
God, I'd be miserable. I mean, like, sadly, I don't weigh my food now, but I definitely keep myself in a caloric prison. Like, just had this conversation with some other people, and it was like, I'm not fucking eating, like, for the amount of like volume of workouts I do. And it's not a lot, but like, it's enough. To be eating 1,800 calories, even 2,200 calories is not enough.
And I think that's a good analogous to the story. It's like you're still holding on to little pieces of that diet.
Yeah.
You know why? I don't know, but it's like you have to remember that, like, if for example, if you ever wanted to lose weight, right, you know exactly what to do.
Yeah,
exactly. You could replicate an RP cut, I'm sure, very well.
Or just do RP again. It doesn't even have to like replicate it. It's like do RP and eat what I eat now, but it's gonna have to be different, but not much. It's just like you weigh your calories.
Yeah. And so now that you're going on to this new life challenge, you have high A1C1, like maybe there's some kind of underlying disease or issue that you're facing, and like maybe your diet needs to change. And it's like, well, maybe you can't hold on to RP.
Which is like the calorie, but there's the flip side, right? I've gotten ripped by 7 people days. Like, hey, an animal-based diet causes X, Y, and Z to happen. You're going to get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Not sure if that's true. You're going to have a high A1C. All these other things. You need to eat vegetables. They do this. You need to do that. So talk about it forever. Me and Matt eat fruits, meat, dairy, and there's no even reason to say honey, but honey. Right? Simple as that. And the big reason of it is like just people eating no processed foods. It's like a story. Like when I was trying to explain to them, I was like, I just don't eat processed foods. It was like, if you want me to eat rice, I will eat rice. Do I love it? I wouldn't say I love it. Do I hate it? No. I could fucking eat rice all day. Take some rice, salt, a little bit of like butter or olive oil and go after, or like whatever, or nothing. Just fucking rice. I'm fine with that too. But that's a very dense, high glycemic food. So I was having a bunch of like, not arguments, conversations with people over the last couple of days. And one of the big common themes was people are just like demanding that I eat vegetables. Like, you have to eat vegetables. You have to. You need the micronutrients and this, and this. And it was like, where's the story? It doesn't make sense. It's like, hey, here's Luke's levels 3 years ago. Now all of a sudden, 2 years later or 3 years later, things are kind of off. And it's like, people are just pointing to like, oh, it's because you don't eat vegetables, man. You gotta eat vegetables because that's why your A1C is high. And like that, and then that's an extreme. That's not like what they're saying, but it's kind of what I'm hearing. So now it's like in my mind, you keep saying change. It's like I need to navigate. Hey, how do I have these conversations? And then how do I take it further and go to the next level and actually implement it and make change in my life without being uncomfortable? Not eating vegetables, because like the micronutrient aspect of it is different. Eating things like squash and all those things, they're fruits, but they're vegetables in like the eyes of America.
Yeah. And we could segue into that, I'm sure, but keep it on track. Like, I thought that was a really good example of
change.
Life Raft.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to get some people in here, but just have a conversation.
Yeah. Farshan and Chops, you want to come in here and talk about it?
I'd be curious if Farshans and Chops is a real person or it's an AI.
That'd be sick. We're talking to the computer.
It sounds like an AI, but you're having a full-on conversation with the AI or a person. But change. So in the gym, things change all the time. Let's segue into some CrossFit shit because, that's where you lie. That's where your passion lies right now. Where would you say, like, how can you help people navigate change within the gym? Because, like, in a CrossFit gym, you're responsible for a lot fucking more than you think.
Yeah. I think, it's funny. I think CrossFit, change flows nicely right into CrossFit. I think that constantly varied aspect means like you should always be changing. You should always keep your body adapting to new scenarios, building that tool set of like challenges. And I think, I think your idea is a cool one. I mean, I think we may have talked this on this podcast before, but like even changing things that like aren't really necessarily workout related, like the time you go to the gym. Mm-hmm. Like, because I heard a lot of people like, oh, why would you do that? What's the point? And it's like, well, if you go to the gym at the same time every day for a year, your body is going to start to prepare itself, or it's going to make it harder, or you're going to hear excuses because it knows, or maybe you're going to get sore every time at that hour because that's when you work out religiously. It's like if you throw a curveball and it's like, oh, hey, I'm working out at 5:30 a.m. Your body's probably going to be in shock at first, and it's going to be a good change. It's going to push a new adaptation. And it's like, life isn't perfect. We talked about this on the side, but it's like there's going to be a day when maybe there's a fire at your next door neighbor's house at 3:30 a.m. and you got to rush over there in your underwear and like, bust down the door and pull them out.
Yeah. And I think that's like a very like elementary aspect to it. Like, right. That's like that's the beginnings of it. Like, I think even you have to navigate people's lives changes. Like you have to understand different things in the gym and like give people the tools. So that was kind of my like exploration of like why I wanted to start listening to more of these different master classes and some of these podcasts that like have like actual scientific literature about all of that stuff. And it's like, okay, so we have change. We need to go into it. Changing workout times is great. But aside from that, it's like there's a deeper level to it. Right. And
yeah, that's an example of small changes.
Yeah.
You've got to change movement pattern as a coach. You've got to change diet. You've got to change attitude. You've got to change mindset. There's so many things that go into working out that you're trying to help people get to. And it's hard. And you're going to get a lot of pushback, a lot of blockers that you have to navigate as a coach.
When's like, it too far? I think I have I don't want to say it's an issue. I tend to push maybe I think too much sometimes at people, and not just in the gym, like everywhere. Like tend to push people to try to put like get uncomfortable too much too often. And I think that's a problem sometimes.
Yeah. But the tools, I mean, that's the thing. That's your tool set right there. Because there's going to be person A that needs you to be direct and blunt with the pushing. Like, you know, just like, hey, you're not moving fast enough. Hey, that looks terrible. Like direct and blunt. Then you're going to have person B who's super fragile, super delicate. You're going to say like, hey, squat deeper. They're going to stop what they're doing. They're going to pause. They're going to be like, they're going to look at you and like, they're ready to have a conversation. It's eating into their workout intensity. And then you're going to have to be like, all right, look, I just wanted you to squat deeper. Like, then you're going to have person C who's going to be super resistant, the rebel. They're going to be like, why do I need to squat deeper? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with why am I going too heavy? Like, I think I can do heavy. Like, you know, you've got all these different personalities. Brian Trainer, Jane up. You got all these different possibility of people that you're also trying to work and help them change. So like, for example, person A, the direct and blunt person, like, you know, you've got to make sure that you're not just sugarcoating things with them. Person B, you need to, you know, navigate them to change in a different way. And then person C is like, you need to, you know, build that trust or have them be more trusting in people in general.
Okay. I agree.
Makes sense.
I agree. I think you have to, like in a gym setting, I think making people like safety is why we have things like change become hard. You feel safe and secure in a place and a setting, and making that change is super challenging. So like, hey, I'm always going to do the women's RX, let's say, for example. And it's like, yeah, that's fine for most things, but you have a 500-pound back squat. Why are you doing women's RX on a back squat day?
That's a good example of a life raft. CrossFit was hard. They couldn't figure out scaling. It's a dude we're talking about, and they're like, I'm going to do women's RX for this workout. Wow, that went great. Like, I felt great. Like, I hit the stimulus. Nice. I'm going to do that every time.
Yeah.
There's that life raft that you're holding on to. All right, next workout comes, you know, do women's RX. Wow, you got under the stimulus, but you're like, oh, wow, I'm doing awesome. It's like, well, actually, no, maybe you went a little too light that day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also just like the challenge of being a coach. Somehow you got to figure out that you have to build your toolbox to go in, navigate that change, and make somebody feel like essentially empowered. How can I empower you to feel confident and comfortable to make this happen, make these changes, do these different things, right? Like without that type of stuff, you're never going to get it. And I'd love to like chat with people about like, hey, what were some of the hardest things you've ever done in a CrossFit gym?
Yeah. And that's kind of to segue a little bit. I mean, that's the interesting thing about the CrossFit cert, that maybe that's where it needs to change. It's like, hey, let's look at an L1 of like the foundation movement, but that you're just focusing on movement with coaching. Like you just figuring out the movement patterns. What are the standards? What's the proper way to do movement? But then it's like, what's a level 2? Like a level 2 might be like, all right, now you're trying to get people to move in those movement standards. So still, again, really basic movement. But then maybe like level 3 is like, all right, now you've got to navigate like getting people to change. Like that's fucking next level. And that's really hard, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's as simple as like in a class setting, it's not like I could teach you a pull-up 20 different ways. And it's like in a group setting, it's much harder because you have a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities, and a lot of different behaviors. And you got a lot of other things going on. Like a workout with 4 movements is like, all right, well, I only can focus so much time here. And I need to optimize, like, I need to make sure I can maximize the rate of return essentially for said athletes in the pull-up section. And I got 5 minutes slotted to go over this. And 1 minute of it was burned with everybody walking around getting chalk on their hand for the warm-up. And it's like, that's fine. It happens. As a coach, you need to know that. And you need to know how to handle that challenge and so on. But how do you go in and make sure everybody gets the most out of something? And I think that a totally cool option would be like, there should be like the Birdie box, Coach Birdie, like teaching people how to have interventions in a pull-up. It's like, hey, anybody who is not wrapping their thumbs around the bar in a pull-up, you're over there. Okay, that's you. If you didn't know, go over there. If you have a shoulder injury, and that means you like literally have a doctor's note saying, I have a tear.
Well, that pause right there. I mean, to segue into this, there you go. You've already implemented something like that, you need to do. Like you can't just be like, hey, people that don't wrap your thumbs around the bar, go over there. You have to actually, you've known this from your experience of like, no, I have to point to so-and-so because they're going to act like, oh yeah, for the warm-up, I put my thumbs around the bar, but in the workout, I'm like, nah.
Well, think about yourself. Yesterday's workout with the jumping pull-up burpees. How many times did you wrap your thumbs around the bar?
I kept switching, but that metal thing was in my way on the right side.
Okay. Yeah, I was the same way. Most of the time, I had to wrap my thumb because it just felt more comfortable. In the first 2 rounds, I definitely don't think I did it all. And it was funny because the later rounds, wrapping my thumb around the bar, it just felt different. It felt more natural, right? I do it all the time, but it just felt safer. I could get up there and I could lock things in and pull myself up versus like, without it, it was doable because it was a jumping pull-up. I was using my legs.
I definitely started without wrapping them for some reason. I think because of the metal thing.
Yeah, and I think it's just
it
also
felt
like
off to your point.
Yeah, I think it's just easier on a jumping pull-up to go this way because you could jump, grab, and here. This you run the risk of if I miss, I'm bashing my thumb or something on a steel bar and it's going to jam it. That was my thought. Was like, if I don't jump perfectly, I'm going to hit my finger, and it's going to hurt a lot more than me slipping or like tearing my hand. Like I would have much rather have torn something on my hand, like the skin, than bashed my finger on the bar. But essentially, like, right, that intervention coaching is like breaking the room down, you taking charge and driving the ship. We talk about this all the time in sales. It's like, hey, when you're running meetings, you're in charge. Steer the room how you want it to. Ask Matt a question like, hey, Matt, give me an example of like, Matt, tell me about some of the changes you made in class. And Matt would proceed to tell me, like, hey, give me two things. Like, I just opened up the door, I asked an open-ended question, but it was so fucking broad. Yeah. Matt, tell me about how you run class. Well, geez, you ready? You got something? I'm going to go off. I'm going to tell you. And it's like, run the room how you want it. Get what you want to know about it. So imagine I was trying to sell you something that was going to make you the best coach ever at class. I'd go in and I'd be like, Matt, tell me a little bit more about, like, if, let's say you got 5 minutes and you have to teach the pull-up, how you doing it? You got a room of 8 people. Yeah. Matt's going to now have, okay, I just steered the room in the right direction. I told you we're going to talk 5 minutes about how you're teaching pull-ups to a group of 8 athletes. I can give you more. I can give you less. But it's got to be, I need to steer the room in that direction. And Matt's going to be like, but yeah, man, I do X, Y, and Z, but like, this one time I was teaching the back squat and X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, yeah, that's great. But the pull-ups, tell me about that again. Like, you lead the room. It's the same as coaching. You need to lead the room. It's the same of everything in my life, like, or in life, I think is really important. It's like, hey, you're having a conversation, or you're teaching the dog, or you're doing this, or you're out to dinner. And it's like, be intentional. Your conversations, I think that's the moral of the story, is like, don't go into something and be like, yeah, tell me about your day, honey. Yeah. And then, like, not listening. You're asking an open-ended question and not giving a shit. It's like, put intention behind your stuff. Yeah. What do you got?
You want me to get PJ Allen here to talk about what changes he's done in the gym?
Whatever he wants to talk about, whatever. Talk about the gym. Yeah, I could talk about the gym. He used to be one of my, members. But I know he's dying to get in here, so let's get him in here.
Annie, you want to J up? How's your flight? Yeah. Eric agrees. Eric's not allowed to watch the podcast.
Rico. What up, my boy?
But yeah, I think there's a lot of facets in coaching group class, I guess, but I'm just going to stick with CrossFit, like that I would look at as steps to a higher level. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't really know if like the L3, as I'm looking back, is really all that.
Yeah, it just
really changes you much, or like shows that you've exhibited like a good change for something different.
No, all it exhibits for you is that one piece of CrossFit. CrossFit you've read journals and you can coach. You see things well because you can watch it on video. But like, again, it just demonstrates that you've put some time in. That's all. It doesn't teach you something new. It's not like, oh, I'm a level 3. I'm fucking way superior. I just think I agree with you. Yeah, it's just minuscule. I was just thinking one thing I'm trying to change in my life is trying to do more broad like activities and just like learn new things. So, like, when I moved here, a thing that I set out to do was like, I want to learn how to skateboard. Like, I remember I would watch you all the time do it with the dogs, and it was like, oh, I can't get on that thing. I'm gonna fucking die. Yeah. and I got on it. Remember, we just went like I fucking was gonna die every time I got on that thing. I could barely stand on it. I could barely go. The whole thing would just wobble, and then like also no, starting to feel some bounce. I'm feeling good. I can move the feet around. I could do this, and then now my next challenge is I want to learn how to snowboard.
Snowboard or ski?
Snowboard. I would do both, but I think snowboard I would feel more comfortable doing. I've tried skiing, didn't give it a big effort, but it wasn't my favorite thing.
Does Eric ski or snowboard? His family,
I don't know.
Into it.
But I've been trying to find somebody to like go with me or teach me, or like not. I don't need somebody to teach me. Just put me on the bunny trail or whatever they call that thing, the kid one, and I'll just rip sometime. For me, it's like speed freaks me out. Like going down on like a snowboard, if I could figure out like how to go side to side and move through this thing and stay like at a moderate pace.
Yeah.
Like Ollie tells me stories of like he's going down a hill and he's like, I think I hit like 60 miles an hour, 50 or 40 miles an hour. I was like, holy shit, dude. I'd throw up. I'd be going down this thing fucking ripping, and I think I'd pass the fuck out.
Give me a sec so you can hear.
Vince is here. But yeah, I don't know if I would legitimately like freak out. So if anybody out there is watching and is down to go somewhere, we live in California, Big Bear, Mammoth. I'll go somewhere. I'll travel. Let's go rip some slopes. Let me learn. You could go do your thing if you're an advanced athlete, and I'll learn.
So we got BJL on the podcast, first ever live guest. Vince?
Hey, everyone.
You be yourself, man. Be yourself. Get in here. Shoot the shit. Like, is that how you would talk?
No, well, what's the conversation about?
I think we were going to keep it to conversations about the gym, maybe. I don't know. Maybe, give us a rundown. Every time you come visit me and Matt, you learn something. Or no, like rate us. We'll do what we did. The Survey Monkey. Who would you say is the best guest? Me, Matt, or Trill, or Ken?
That's an awkward question. I don't feel really comfortable.
Matt, you lead this interview. You lead the interview.
We were talking about change in the gym. Do you feel like you're still learning at the gym?
Absolutely. I feel like I'm learning every day.
In what regard? Dig into that.
Technique, the mental that you have to put into it to get a good workout, to stay focused, to stay in your lane, not try to compare yourself to others, but to just improve yourself.
For that mental side, do you think that's self-taught?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think coaches can influence it, but I don't really think that's what their job is, nor do they have the time during a 50-minute class to focus on your mental outlook. I mean, I think that's something, you have to train yourself on.
See, Luke and I were discussing that we think that if you're going to consider yourself an L4, like a high echelon coach, that you would have that skill set as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is that what they teach you in the L4?
No. We think it's very much like you're saying, like we can help you with technique and your movement pattern, but like when it comes to mindset or, changes inside and outside the gym mentally, like we don't have the tools to like communicate that.
Like I think a CrossFit gym is a really cool, safe place, and it's a really big challenge because if we had the tools to we get a new member in there. We had some friends, like we said, visit, and I don't think they had the best experience at the gym. And I could be wrong, but they only went once or twice, but the second time they just couldn't dare do the class. And this is no knock at Coach Matt, but no,
it's a good valid point.
There is something that you, Matt, potentially should have done or could have done or needed to do to make that a safe place. And like getting new members in the gym, that's like the first thing you need to do. You don't need to coddle them, but I think like what would bring you to the next level as a coach is like you meet them where they are. You put up like a game plan, like you make them feel safe, comfortable, confident in any fucking thing they do in that gym.
Yeah.
Inside and outside the gym, like give them the confidence to like, you know what? I don't feel confident in anything in my life, but I feel confident here. And that just expands margins. Like
and fun.
Confident.
Fun and
enjoyable. Yeah.
But don't you think that's a community culture that the coaches can instill in the other members that you...
Well,
that's a part of it, yeah.
That's a skill, though. Like, you ain't going to just listen to anybody. Like, you have to demonstrate that you have that skill. I think that's the hard part. Like, and being like, everybody has a different personality. Like I can think in my class, there's 6 people that usually come around like the 5:30 always. And it's like, each person has their own personality and I'd have to talk to each person differently. Like, hey, like maybe you should try this weight today. And here's why. Like, do this, do that, do this. Or like, hey, how's work been going? How's this going? How's your injury going? Tell me more about that. Oh, can I help in any way? Okay. Or instead of saying like, hey, can I just be like, hey, I think like, let me do this. I'm going to come over. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. And again, that's like your own personal time, but it's trying to keep it very broad, maybe.
I think the other thing the coach has to pay attention to, because it is a you promote that it's a community workout, it's a community gym. We're all a community, we're all family. One of the simplest things for me as an athlete in a class, and and not probably a higher end athlete, is the minute that the coach is like, okay, let's team up or partner up. I think that's where the coach drops off. And if you have cliques within a gym, it's like, well, I'm going to lift with you because you're strong. I'm not going to lift with you because you're weak. And I think a new athlete, that's
who's new? You're referring to yourself, I think. And you ain't damn new. You've been doing CrossFit 8 years.
F you. I'm not saying just fucking me. I'm talking about anybody coming into your gym.
Okay. But CrossFit is
especially you have a lot of drop-ins. I come out to California and
let's do this. Let's do this. CrossFit is a community. So yes, the coach is responsible, but so are the members just as much. When you have a gym and you're referring to community, the coach is not the community. The people are the community. The coach is not the community.
The coach's job to instill in the people, this is the kind of culture we want to set. This is the kind of culture we're pushing.
Correct. But then the people have to latch on to that culture. So like you only could do so much to people before it's like, hey, this gym isn't for you. Like, hey, we don't do things.
It's saying like, for example, like the brief, right? Every brief, anyone you have new, you introduce them, you tell everyone's name. Like some gyms don't do that. And maybe that inspires a culture where it's a little more cliquey.
Yeah. Like, I know. I hear what Vince is saying. And I'll give you an example. I've typically run my classes at the 5:30 like this. I go to my whiteboard brief. I'm like, hey, here's a new face. They're trying it out, or they just joined up, or like, hey, they normally come in the morning. This is new to them. And then I literally will look and I'll be like, you're going to go if we partner up or anything. You have questions. I'm your first point of contact. If I'm not available, the DOO, our boy, like our friend, I'm going to say his name, Ollie. Like I always appoint him. He's the second person of contact. It's like, or I usually say he's the first. I'm like, hey, if I'm not available, that's who you go. If there's a run, you follow him. If there's something you don't know, you ask him. If you don't feel comfortable, you ask him right away. He loves it. He walks over, shakes their hand, says who he is, goes through it, tells them what weights to do. I've done classes where like I've broken the room up and I put a couple people and I'm like, hey, you're going to coach how to get into a wall walk. Have fun. And like, that's the culture I try to build in my class. But yeah, I agree what you're saying. Like the coach can handle better. Where I wanted to take it was, do you feel there is I wanted to bring up something about like lack of confidence. Like when you're like, I don't feel X, Y, and Z.
Think on that for a second. I want to talk about coach and owner as well, because, the coach, to Vince's point, can definitely shape the culture. But also if the owner is just taking anyone off the street, they're going to make it challenging for the coach to create the culture. So for example, very easy one. Let's say we've got a 60-year-old plus gym, dominant based membership, right? Owners hurting for money. Anyone that calls is like, oh, I'll give you this cheap membership. Come on down. It's next 4 new members they get are competitive athletes. Like next thing you know, they're not even in the class. They're slamming barbells around in the middle of class, doing 15 different workouts, telling members, oh, hey, come on, hit this back squat with me after class. Like very disruptive. That's going to really push against the culture that the coach has created. And I mean, like to Luke's point, sometimes you're going to just be outnumbered. And then eventually it's just going to have to tip a certain way. I don't know how you could rein that in because you're managing like four super different to your base members that are competitive athletes. And, that's a whole other challenge.
So
I think what owner coach culture needs to be in sync at the very minimum. Like
So-
saying no to people, for example, the owner has to do.
Yeah. Vince,
Which is
anything?
hard. Like you're basically saying, hey, like I don't think you're a good fit for this gym.
Mhm.
Like we don't offer what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think a simple example of that is like, hey, I want to join your gym. What's your programming look like? Oh, we do. Luke does the programming. It looks like X, Y, and Z. Well, why aren't you doing a lift and a Metcon? Because of this. Oh, well, can I do open gym while you guys are doing class? No, go down the street.
Yeah.
Like you have to have the confidence as the owner to say that, or the head coach, or be like, yeah, I think this will work for you. That's where your job is, like, make them feel like this is something beneficial. It's like, it doesn't have to always equate to like get the fuck out. It's like, It's like, hey, trust me, try 1 month. I will pay for you to come 1 month. You don't pay a membership. Try it out a month. You're going to do one workout class. All I ask is you is leave your ego at the door and listen to every single thing I say. And let's see if you get fitter. We're going to test this workout right now. You're going to do the baseline test. We're going to do it again at the end of the month. I just want to see if you're any fitter, and you're not going to be fitter. Let's put that. But if you listen and leave your ego, you're going to move better on the rower. You're going to do your air squats better. You're going to move better. And everything is just going to be, you're a better mover. You're going to be faster. And you win right there. Sales, Vince. Sales 101.
I think Vince needs to work on his dependent athlete coach relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I wanted to say. Do you think it is the coach's, if an L4, we'll say, if me and Matt were L4 coaches, I think what would be a separation of how an L4, like how you get titled that, is like you should be able to go in, talk to any group of athletes and make everybody feel some sort of like confidence. Like, cool, we got back squats today. Grab a bar. I'm going to partner a couple people up based off of, let's say, height. I don't give a shit. If you lift 500 pounds and the person you're partner with because of your height is lifting 90 pounds, make sure your bar makes sense. Like the weight shouldn't be a pain in the ass to take on and off. It's going to suck. It's an extra little workout, but do it. Have some conversations, learn about each other, but like empower each other. Like maybe you're like, hey, here's an icebreaker, learn about each other. And at the end, I'm going to ask all of you. I know about all of you, but you're going to learn about it. Like, what if you can empower them to feel more confident? Or like, hey, Vince, did you see that Matt's 500-pound back squat? He didn't go anywhere near depth. He had a little bit of a butt wink. His chest dropped. He lets go of the bar on his way up. All of a sudden, Matt doesn't feel, it's like, I guess part of that, the issue is like, we just shit on Matt, but at the same time, it enables Vince, the brand new athlete, to feel like, oh, this person's lifting a lot of weight, but he ain't perfect.
Yeah. I think to like pull out your relationship with the coach, I'll throw you a scenario.
All right.
The workouts, Amanda, 21, 15, 9, squat snatches, ring muscle ups. I come in, I'm briefing you. I let you know, hey, I'm really sick. I'm losing my voice. I'm just going to give you guys the 40 minutes to warm up, hit the WOD. At 3, 2, 1, I'll start the clock. So you have 20 minutes before I start the workout. What are you doing?
I'm warming up. I'm not sure that I understand the question.
What are you doing? Tell me your warm up. What are you going to do for the workout?
So I'm going to do some pass-throughs, with the PVC. I'm going to go overhead. I'm going to do around the world. I'm going to do Spider-Man lunges. I'm going to maybe do some bands, loosen up my chest, loosen up my shoulder.
Okay.
That's going to kind of be my warm-up. I'm already know that I'm a weak snatcher and that's not going to be a strong point for me, a strong workout for me. I can't do ring muscle ups. So I'm going to come up with my own sub, which I guess for that I might do, pike push-ups.
Pike push-up instead of a handstand?
Well, all right. See already what I mean now. Now the coaches
hold on.
laughing
This
at
is a conversation. You're lost, right? You're lost. You don't know what to do. You don't know the stimulus of Amanda.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
You have a very dependent relationship on the coach, which isn't necessarily a good thing. We want an interdependent relationship. So, for example, I can be like, all right, here's the workout. Vince knows he's done this before. He's done it like 8 times, pulls up his sugar WOD. He knows his snatches are very strong, so he's not going to load the snatch bar up too much. He's done low ring transitions before, so he's going to do those. Mm-hmm. And then in the workout, he might hit a snatch, might have fell off. He might look at me, look for me to give feedback. And might be like, that wasn't a good one, Vince. Get a little deeper in your squat, for example. And then he'll move about.
I think this. I just want to comment on what
you're saying. Let me interrupt.
Hold on. We got to explain that is mine and Matt's methodology. Okay. That is something we believe in, something we were taught.
Learn that from Birdie. I don't want.
Yeah, He's not taking credit, but it's like Birdie gives, like, those are things that he taught to people. Like his vision is to teach people to be better coaches and do those things. And like, that's a thing that we adopted, that we really strive to want to do. Are we there 100%? No. But you as the coach have to enable athletes to our goal as coaches is to enable your athletes to be independent while still being dependent on you. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, we want, not even Amanda, like anytime there's let's say, like, I'm injured. Every time I come in, Matt doesn't have to sit there and be like, oh, I need to tell Luke this.
Even your example, we don't have to walk through the room and tell everybody what weight to put on the bar.
It's like, you could go in and you make adjustments. That's where you're slightly dependent on me. It'd be like, or even just challenge. Like, we walk in, I grab a dumbbell. Let's say I grab 35 pounds and I'm going to do hang power cleans. And Matt, I am a independent athlete. Matt might come up to me and say, hey, you just did that last week when we did snatches. Again, how about we try this today at a heavier weight? Or just do your left arm today, shave the reps in half and go 50 pounds. Try it today. Or like, that's partially a dependent athlete now. Like,
because you're saying that you get that instruction or that motivation from the other athletes in the class and not from the coach.
No. So our job as a coach, and what Matt was saying, is like, on Amanda, our job throughout the year, let's say on January 1st, we do Amanda, and December 31st of the following, at the end of the year, we do Amanda. We do it twice a year. From January, you've never done it before. By the end of the year, our goal is for you to walk into that room and be like, oh, anytime I see a snatch by the end of the year, like, I know what a snatch, not maybe not what it is, but yeah, what it is, right?
Yeah.
I know what a snatch is. I know what weight I should be doing. If Luke says to me, you should be able to hold on unbroken for this whole WOD, but it should be fucking hard. Like, it's going to burn. You're going to feel your hands hurt. You're going to feel your shoulders though. You're going to catch and you're going to hold and you're going to be shaking and you're going to be like, oh, fuck, tight in my belly. You're an independent athlete. You can think, okay, I need to do the workout. RX is 135 for men. I got to do 107 pounds today to get that feeling. So I'm going to put 107 pounds on the bar. I'm going to put tape on my thumbs. I'm going to put a fucking belt on. I'm going to put a sweatband on. I'm going to put knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, wrist sleeves. And I'm going to get after this thing. But I know, as the independent athlete, I was empowered to learn what weight I need to do. Like, without any question what to do. If Matt got sick and had to leave, like, this has happened to you before, right?
I've gotten sick. I've never had to leave, but
He paints you an idiot.
Yeah, I'm the dumb one.
No, I'm just saying, like, you've experienced it. You want me to say fucking names?
But interdependent there's dependency values that you have on the coach. Maybe something fell off. You don't know what that is. And then there's the independent part. Like, how to
So what's the question for the athlete? I don't think I'm understanding.
I was wondering what you thought you were. What type of athlete?
Definitely not dependent on the coach. Absolutely not. And Luke, you've coached me for, 4 years. You think I'm dependent on the coach? I think I'm quiet in class, but I think I know enough of, here's what I could lift, here's what I can't lift. Do I want to be pushed? Yes. Do I appear like I want to be pushed? Probably not.
Matt?
I don't know if pushing is what we mean by dependent.
Yeah. Challenge.
Like, when we did back squats the other day, did you feel you needed any guidance?
I don't feel I needed any guidance, although I think Trill was very, came over, gave a couple points, walked away. I thought was pretty good. I thought, Kenny, you were a little destructive. You could have been more motivating. Sam, you didn't say a fucking word, and you're like a powerhouse working behind me. You could have motivated me a little bit more. Luke, probably you were pretty spot on, where you were like, you saw that I was getting heavy. You were kind of watching out of the corner of your eye, and then you called it, and you were like, nope, not full depth here. You're doing the same thing. But I guess
I don't think I made much of an impact there. I just said to you,
well, I'm telling you, I thought that you did.
It was very impactful, dude. The little cues, they go a long way.
Now,
I agree. I would not say that I don't think you're dependent on the coach.
I would agree.
I would say if I said to you, like, hey, we got Murph today, I ain't coaching you on it. I'm going to just give pointers. Like, we're all going to warm up. We're going to do it together. Like, I damn well know you would set up and you'd be fine. You're a different situation though.
Let me give you another example. What I think really makes a great gym and impact from the other athletes that I think would help your gym. At the current gym that I go to, we had a back squat, right? So I was lifting with two guys who were much heavier in the back squat than me. And rather than shy away from me, they promoted, motivated, and in fact came up with a way that I didn't even know existed of how you spot to say, you'll go heavier. You don't even have to worry about bailing the bar because we'll pick the bar off your back if you don't come up. And I found it to be really motivational. I got a lot of camaraderie out of the class. And I probably went the heaviest that I went. And that's what I'm trying to say. I think it depends on the culture of the gym. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. For you. So they basically gave you the confidence as the athlete to go heavier because you felt safer. We've done that too with one of the members. He's known for not doing squat, but he comes in and we've had people get on the side of him because he's petrified of bailing on the bar. So people just get on the side of him and be like, "Hey man, if you fail, you're just gonna hold it and we're gonna take the bar and you stand up and walk away." That's what happened. But I don't think necessarily that's the same concept, right, Matt? Like independent.
Yeah, I think he's been away from
coach relationship athlete is what we're talking about. We're talking about coach to athlete. So like, let's leave CrossFit. Football. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady probably had one of the best. Like, and that is probably, maybe not. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. I don't care. But it's like, hey, from the outside, that looks like it was the best. Brady can go up. Belichick can say something. Brady can go back out. If Belichick's not there, Brady's still going to do his thing. Belichick's he's just going to look at him and be like, hey, was that the right call? And give a good shit, man. It's going to be like, no, that wasn't the right call. Why'd you throw it over his head?
You could use your job. Vince is a VP. He's still got a CEO, a boss. Vince can run the ship, drive the ship if the boss took 2 weeks, but there is still value the boss gives Vince.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like you're not dependent on the boss, but the boss still provides you.
It's still a collaborative effort.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're talking about in the gym and one of the responsibilities of what the coach is trying to do. Like we don't want to, if it's not a good place, because that to me, it sounds like we haven't taught you anything. If literally every workout you come into, you're like, what weight should I do, coach? What sub should I do, coach?
Agree. Yes, agree. Yeah, agree.
But yeah, that's just kind of the coaching side of it. How's your life, Vince?
Good. Good. My life is good.
All right, hold on. This is the last piece we'll talk about here, and then we're going to go talk about something else. Then we got to leave. Okay. Please hold 1 second.
What's he doing?
Also, you left the coffee thing filled with coffee grounds again.
Are you able to hear this?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Upon you being there. Our goal as a coach is to create independent athletes. However, if I'm that athlete and you're the coach, this is what I do. How many of your members do this? So what? Looking at you, finishing the snatch, turning to you directly and be like, feedback. Give me feedback. How many of your members do that? They're doing butterfly pull-ups or something. They're like, the goal of the coach is to make them independent so they can do everything on their own. However, they value you. You have a great coach-athlete relationship that they would never, ever, ever become independent. They'll never be that athlete training on the room with the videoing their trainings ready for Instagram. They will always receive coaching because they value you. That is an interdependent relationship. They have the ability to be independent, but they have the dependency to receive coaching from you.
Is that legal to put on our podcast?
I'm sure Birdie won't mind.
But anyway, so that makes it clear. Is essentially like, Vince, do your own shit, do it all on your own. But in the end of the day, you're never going to walk around and be like, I ain't going to this fucking schmuck over here. Fuck you, Matt. You don't know shit. Every time you hit a back squat, you're going to look at Matt and be like, hey, man, how was that? Good? Deep enough? Hey, were my heels down? Coach, how'd my butt look on that one? Look good? Did I drive my knees out hard enough? And
that video makes me feel like I'm failing.
Why?
Because I would love that. I would love if people were doing movements and looking at me saying, give me some feedback on that one.
Yeah.
But I say there might be 4 or 5 athletes that do that out of the 3 classes that I coach every day.
Then you just got to empower them to believe that you feel so good.
But that's the segue into what we were talking about earlier of like, you're working with so many different personality types and you're trying to shape them all into getting there, but they all have a different strategy and a different tactic. And I just don't know if I have the tool set yet because I'm still early in the career of like, all right, Vince's personality type A, he's stubborn, thick-headed, very competitive, very like eager to be number one. How do I get Vince to how do I build Vince to have an interdependent relationship with me kind of thing? What are the tools there? How can I communicate to Vince?
Yeah.
You know, and like maybe one of the answers is like, all right, well, you just got to make everything kind of competitive for Vince and like word it in a kind of competitive sense.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anybody out there that wants to get in here and fucking shoot shit, challenge us?
Yeah, Rick and Ellie, you guys needs to kill some time.
What do? You just post a StreamYard link in this thing?
Just drop it in. Drop it for you.
What's B Trainer saying?
B Trainer, he just jays up. Sometimes he joins, but he's busy. I don't know if you can click the link in Instagram.
Jamie,
I don't think so.
Jamie's got nothing to say.
Jamie, you have nothing to say?
Did he text us? No.
Yeah. Vince, you got anything else before we cut this shit dry? Cut it cold?
No, been a pleasure talking with you guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm noticing you really struggle to stand.
You're comfortable in it.
We need to get you a standing desk.
Yeah, I like the high chairs. Like we should be sitting in chairs.
No, we got to get you out of sitting. It's detrimental for your health.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, chat. Well, it's been phenomenal talking to you. Matt, anything else?
Yeah, I just want to do some reflections. Yes, the events. Not one of our best episodes, I don't think. We dropped the ball on marketing, and forgot the intros. We'll do better next time.
Oh yeah, we did forget the intros. The guests, like we don't want people visiting right now.
It's been a stressful week, so apologies to the audience.
We'll just delete it. We're not going to post this one. We'll redo it next week.
It's already live.
Chat. I know some of you out there. We've had some viewers. Probably just that's the end. Anything, Coach? It's end. It's a disaster.
Sometimes you just have bad days, dude. We got to grow from it. You know. What are some things you'd grow from this episode before we close it out?
Be more prepared. Show up on time as the podcasters, not more than a couple minutes. So I got to be better at waking up earlier and being ready to go, not like strolling in, making my coffee, sitting down and be like, all right, I'm ready, man.
All right. So one example, one takeaway here is, would you prefer if podcast is still at 8:30, but I roll in at 8 and we can kind of prep?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's not you. I mean, even myself. I got out of bed.
But I mean, if that's a routine you want to do, I'm willing to try it. I think it might be helpful if we get in here 30 minutes early.
And prep like a storyboard, maybe.
Yeah, do the storyboard. Make sure we get all the Instagram stories out.
Yeah, we have like a checklist. We need to do that. We're still looking for a tech guy out there, tech girl, anybody. We have our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. We're looking for a CTO, Chief Technology Officer. And then we're going to take some interns. But no, I agree. I mean, we got to prep better to have like, hey, what's our hot take? We want fucking people. If you watch this thing on Spotify, you can comment, you can DM us, just put some hot takes out there. I feel like we would do better if we're not the ones making the hot takes. Like when you're the one who creates the hot take, it's, hey, it's your opinion. It's just your opinion. It's like if somebody were to be like, hey, here's my hot take, it'd be a much easier or much more interesting conversation to like dig into.
Yeah. I think I'm also just going to commit to the Google phone line.
Yeah.
Because it's a different number. And I think if I do end up just getting spammed on it, I can just delete the number, and it won't forward to my phone anymore.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
So maybe we'll just try that for actual calling in if you're on the road or something and can't click the link.
Yeah. If you got feedback too, drop it. We're going to have light bars next week. It's going to be brighter. Matt won't look pixelated. I won't look dark.
All right. Well, see you guys next week, 8:30 a.m.
Sounds good, chat.